Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran and patch 8.1.5 is coming here on March the 12th, not even in 2 weeks. So this is going to be another exciting patch, almost like an addition to patch 8.1. It brings in a lot of cool new content, but it's not going to be quite as major as the next patch, which is going to be patch 8.2. Still, this patch is going to be pretty exciting. Not too many class changes happening on this one as far as we know, but mostly content changes, allied races, and such. Also, I'm happy that Blizzard is releasing these what seems like a little bit faster, but I'll talk about that more at the end of the video. But for now, let's just dive in on all the content we're getting in 8.15. In 8.1.5, we are finally getting the Zandalari as well as Kultirans as allied races for us to unlock. The new allied races for both Horde and Alliance are gonna have some new models or newer looking models, new animations in terms of combat as well as side stuff like dances, emotes for stuff like /silly for different jokes that the allied races tell. Both of them start at level 20. And we'll have a variety of different classes that they can be. Like for example, that Zandalari can be paladins and Kultirans can be druids. Both of the druids from both of the allied races will have some new druid forms, and the shamans will have different totems. To unlock both of the allied races, you have to have exalted with either the honor bound for the Horde or the 7th Legion with the Alliance, as well as completed the storyline for both of the factions. I have a link down below in the description to a Wowhead article that shows you exactly every aspect of the game that you need to complete in order to unlock and play as either the Zandalari or as the Kultiran. Both of the allied races will have different racials and different heritage armor if you do end up leveling one from level 20 to max level. Let me know in the comments which faction excites you more, the Zandalari or the Kultiran. We also get a new raid called Crucible of Storms, which is coming out at a later time on April the 16th, so a little over a month after the release of March 12th. The raid for Crucible of Storms takes us closer to Azeroth and Azara, as we do get an Azara raid in patch 8.2, as well as an Azara themed zone. So that's going to be very exciting to see some of the artwork and the architecture used inside of this raid. This raid is meant to be played alongside of Battle for Dazar Allure, so from PTR it doesn't look like the gear has a higher item level. It looks like the item level is capped to the similar item level of Battle for Dazar Allure, and this to be done side by side. The new raid is filled with a lot of interesting pieces of gear. Some of those pieces have a positive and a negative effect, and some of them simply have interesting effects. I do wonder, however, if any of those new items will make certain fights in Battle for Dazar Allure an easier fight. Then Blizzard also added some new portal rooms in 8.15. The portal room for Alliance is in the Mage Tower, and it looks a little bit more open, more roomy, and a lot more portals for you to have access to get around the game. The Horde, on the other hand, is going to have a hole in the wall with also plenty of portals to choose from, but not quite as prestigious as the Alliance one. So be sure to check those out as soon as the patch drops, and that will be your new way for you guys to get around the game. Blizzard also increased the character limit that you can have on a server up to 50. They're not increasing how many more characters you can have, but if let's say you want to keep all of your allied races all together on one server and a few other characters spread on other servers, it'll be a lot easier for you to keep all of your characters, all those allied races on one singular server. If you're a fan of PvP, then you'll be very excited to hear that Arathi Basin as well as Warsong Gulch are getting a higher resolution version of the same Battlegrounds. Blizzard has stated they don't really want to change the BGs so much, they simply want to give them a facelift and make them look a little bit nicer. But in terms of geographical changes, in terms of little hills and valleys, the game and the BG should not feel all that different. So yes, if you're a fan of knocking people off of Lumber Mill, you should still be able to do just that. So this is going to be interesting to see, because I know that everybody is going to see that visually, yes, these BGs are different, but I wonder if the feeling of those BGs, I wonder when you're running flag from Alliance to Horde in Warsong Gulch is going to take longer or shorter, or if it's going to be just about the same. I wonder if Blizzard, even though they say they don't really want to change how these BGs played, I wonder if they're still gonna feel a little bit different. I haven't got to try this in PTR or anything, but this is still very exciting. Another thing they are adding in 8.15 is a new brawl called the Comp Stomp. Generally, it is the same thing you expect from Islands, but in the bigger case of a battleground. It's a BG where you fight against enemy AI, but the enemy AI is supposed to function kind of like players. I think this is a good idea for anybody who is skittish around PvP. And they're not quite sure if they really want to get into combat with other players because they feel they'll just get stomped. But playing against enemy AI, you can at least see some patterns with them, you can at least get used to them. The enemy AI at least are going to be consistent and not unpredictable how other players might be. So this could get some more people trying out PvP and even trying to play against other players. It's going to be interesting to see if this type of format is going to be difficult. And it'll be awesome if this type of brawl was actually somewhat difficult. Like if the AI were smarter, better at CC, and could counter players. I think this could be really, really cool. Also, Wintergrasp is making a return as an epic battleground. I never got to play Wintergrasp when that was a thing, but Blizzard is adding it as an epic BG option. So this will be very interesting to see how Wintergrasp works and if it still holds up from the days of Wrath of the Lich King. One of the fastest modes of leveling in BFA is by doing islands. But they're not really lucrative when it comes to replacing your gear. As you grind up in levels, you don't really get a lot of loot, so you don't really get stronger as a character. You're left with legendaries that don't work and gear way back from Legion that simply just doesn't hold up in damage as well as in health. So now as you do islands, you will be able to spend your island doubloons on a vendor who will give you armor tokens. So you'll be able to replace most of your gear as you do islands. This is a way for Blizzard to facilitate the idea that if you want to level through islands, here's a way for you guys to get loot while you do it. Heirloom upgrades are also going to be a thing. Now you'll finally be able to boost your weapon heirlooms as well as armor heirlooms to maximum level of 120. That means faster leveling for those brand new allied races in the zones of BFA. Brawlers Guild is also getting a nice update, so if you were waiting for more solo PvE experiences, Brawlers Guild is going to open up with new challenges as well as new rewards. I do hope they add a Mage Tower-like experience into BFA. I love doing a Mage Tower for some cool experiences for all the different classes and specs. Hopefully they'll bring something like that back into the game, but until then, Brawlers Guild is gonna hopefully hold me over. Outside of that, we got some of the smaller things added into the game, like Profession Questline to get a very powerful item for your profession. I guess Blizzard finally wants to make professions feel a little bit more impactful, and everybody's gonna get a unique item. Enchanters, leatherworkers, blacksmiths, everybody's gonna have a unique item only to them. So for example, like a blacksmith might be able to repair their own armor, which is a suggestion that a lot of people have been floating around for, I feel like, expansions now when it comes to profs. So cool little doodads are gonna be allowed depending on your profession. Besides that, we also have hunters, and the fact that they're getting their pet Hades back, or Hadi is actually the name itself. The Hadi pet is a pet that was added back in Legion with your artifact weapon. It is the wolf with lightning sparks around it and was interconnected to your weapon ability, giving you 2 pets to kill command and auto attack with. This gave Beastmaster a very interesting flavor, which also added a new talent came in BFA as Animal Companion, which allows you the use of a secondary pet. So if you were a fan of Hadi, then you'll be able to get this pet back with a lot of other items. I also covered this in a separate video, but you'll be able to have like a ball that you can play with your pet. You'll also be able to use an item to turn that pet into a temporary mount. So very similar to how orcs ride wolves, you'll be able to ride your enlarged version of Hadi on its back, and it actually is kind of cool. A lot of people suggested way back in previous expansions, why can't hunters ride their pets? Let's say if it's a massive wolf or a massive beast of some sort, and now hunters will be able to. I think it's a cool addition. You guys let me know in the comments, what do you think? Outside of that, we also get Warlords of Draenor Time Walking. Now, Time Walking is pretty cool. Warlords of Draenor wasn't that cool of an expansion, in my opinion, in the long run, but it's going to be cool to go back and revisit some of the cool dungeons they had, because the ideas and the concepts were actually pretty neat. Like the train dungeon, for example. I absolutely love the environment. The coolest thing about it though are the mounts. You get yourself a mammoth mount, which is pretty neat, but you also get yourself a wolf mount. I covered that in a video before. I think the wolf mount is definitely worth going for. And besides all that, that's just about everything that covers in the basics and the exciting stuff of 8.15. I hope you guys enjoyed this video update. This patch is coming in very, very soon. And lastly, I just want to say, I think, and I just get this feeling that this patch is coming up a little bit earlier than a lot of us were expecting. I didn't expect for 8.15 to be here this fast. There's a lot of things that people were looking forward to, like the allied races, for example, and a few additions to the game. The fact that we're getting a new raid a month from now does feel kind of okay. It doesn't feel quite as bad. And one thing that I didn't like about 8.1 when they released that patch, they released 8.1 and there was basically nothing to do, and they said we're releasing 8.1 now after months and months and months of waiting, and a month from release of 8.1 we'll have the raid for you guys. This is a very similar situation, except they're releasing what feels like 8.15 a little bit earlier than most of us were expecting. I'm actually a huge fan of that, especially if Blizzard is going to time gate a portion of the gameplay. Like, for example, if raid is going to come out at a little bit later time, or if certain aspects of the game are going to come out at a little bit later part of the time. So I like this. What do you guys think about the update? Do you think they should release more patches a little bit faster, even if they do have, let's say, a certain portion of the content delayed, like a raid or maybe certain dungeons? Very excited to see what we'll get in patch 8.2. That's going to be a very, very exciting patch because it's going to be a Jara patch. It is going to be a lot of class changes I'm expecting. It's going to be changes to our Azeroth traits and such. So that's going to be very cool and exciting. But overall, I'm very happy to see that 8.15 is going to be here very, very soon. I'm actually very much surprised that there's not a lot of class changes happening. In previous expansions, Blizzard has done 8.1.5 as a patch to update classes. We saw major overhauls with a lot of specs back in Legion that just weren't doing that well. We saw Subtlety going from this Shadow Strike spam sustain spec to a more bursty Eviscerate, which is what a lot of people were used to, which made the spec feel great. We had some feral changes. We had some other class changes overall back in Legion, but it looks like in BFA they're keeping most of the classes as they are right now, and it feels like nothing really changes except for a few Azeroth traits, a few adjustments for energy, but for the most part the way that they are played are still the same. I feel like there are definitely classes that I would want to cover in a separate video, classes that I think need to go through a change, but I feel like at this point of the video I'm rambling a little bit. If you guys would want to see me make a video with statements of what classes or specs that I think Blizzard would want to take a look at in gross detail, then let me know that in comments below. I'd like to make a video on it because I do like to talk a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed, and I'll see all of you guys in the next one.